Hello fiber fanatics and polycrafters. I'm Crystal, welcome to my channel. Today we're doing a tutorial on a cute little drawstring bag, complete with self-made tie. This is the perfect size to hold your stitch markers, your needles, anything you don't want to get away from you. Mine is full of stitch markers. The cool thing about this bag is once you open it up, you can fold it down and it sits on your work surface and makes itself into a basket so you can easily get at the treasures inside. Use this traveling for your jewelry. And then when you're ready to go, just tie it back up and throw it in your bag. And great thing about this pattern is you can stop it at the edge and actually just leave it as being a basket. The stitches we will use in this pattern are a magic ring. We will also use chain stitches, slip stitches, single crochet, double crochet. We will be stitching in the back loop only, and we'll be stitching in the round and in the row. So I will break this down step by step. So if you're new to crochet, just stick with me. Feel free to re-watch parts as you go to make sure you get it. And in this description box below, I'll timestamp the different spots. So if you are knowledgeable of crochet and you want to go through this fast and just learn the pattern, feel free to skip ahead to the parts that you need. Now, for this tutorial, I am going to use Yarn Bees. Here you are. I'm going to be using Yarn Bees Wrapology Hues. This is April Bouquet. It was part of the clearance last year from Hobby Lobby. They have other colors and whatnot available at Hobby Lobby, so don't worry about that. But any cotton number 2 yarn will work. For this pattern as well, we are going to work a perfect circle for the bottom. We're not going for any polyhedrons here, trying to go for a perfect circle, and I'll show you how to do that. There's a special way to balance out your increase stitches. When I say increase stitch, I mean 2 stitches of whatever we're working in the same hole. So if we're doing single crochet, an increase would just be 2 single crochets in the same stitch. So with that, let's get started. Hey, welcome to the table. To start this drawstring bag, we start with a magic ring at the bottom. If you'd rather, you can chain 3 and join. But for the magic loop, hold it with your thumb, wrap around the back. And I'm using an E crochet hook here. It's also a 3.25. There you go. Round, chain 1, that locks us in. I like to free the little tail and pull on it to make sure it's going to work well for me for tightening up this loop. And we are going to single crochet 6. 1, 2. It's a little fiddly to start with, but as soon as we get it started, it acts a lot better. So 3, 4, 5. Pull to tighten. Get my fingers out of the way so you can actually see that. So yep, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then here, we are not going to join the round. We are going to just keep crocheting in, so we'll do concentric circles here. I like to take the tail and pull it up over and crochet over it. And we're going to do 2 into every single crochet. So these are our increase stitches. So we're increasing in every single one. Still working over that tail. This ensures everything stays tight. And what you see right now, this will be the outside of the bag. Alrighty, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We've completed the round. Now this one, we are going into round 3. Round 3 is an odd row, and odd rows and even rows will be treated differently to maintain the perfect circle. So for odd rows, we do our single crochets in the beginning, and then our increases at the end. So 1, and this is an increase, so 2, 3. You're in the 3rd row, so you have groups of 3. Let's do that again. 1, an increase, 2, 3. Now, to help you remember where you started, you can use a little stitch minder here. So I just did 2 sets of 3, so there's one, there's the other. This is our first stitch in our pattern. There you go. And we'll just move that around as we go. Okay, and this, you see these 2 stitches are our increase from the previous round. So we're working our 3 stitches into those 2. Now we can probably stop working that end yarn, and we'll just trim that away when we're ready or when we're done. One and an increase. Okay, and that is round number 3, and we're looking pretty round so far. We're just gonna move this little marker. Now this is round 4. It's an even round. So for an even round, we take the stitches from before. So here's our 3. We work a single stitch into the front, and then we'll work an increase. Then we'll work another single stitch. So we have a grouping of 4 inside our grouping of 3 from below. Now we're going to mark that first stitch of the round. I don't need the little toggle. There you go. Alrighty, and see, this is our next group of 3. And we're going to work our 4 stitches, doing a single, an increase, and another single. There you are. Work that way around. And you might see it starting to turn up on you. That's just the tension thing. If you pull on them a little bit, it'll generally lay flat. If you want to block your work when you're done, that requires just getting it wet or washing it, and then putting some sort of packing into it so it dries in the form that you want. All right, you notice we have 3 stitches at the end here, so we know we did it right. And you should be able to count 6 increases in that round. There'll be 6 increases in every round. Okay, here we are, round 5. 5's an odd row, so we have all our singles in the front. 2, 3, and we increase in the last one, 4 and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, that was smart. Okay. Work that way all the way around. Now this is a free pattern and it is typed out in the description box below. So if you're a person that needs to read your patterns, it's down there for you. I'm not sure how long I'm going to leave that up there. I will eventually turn that into a PDF and have that in the shop. But currently it is a free pattern. And we notice we have 4 stitches left. That single, the increase, and another single. So you work a single crochet in the first 3. And then an increase. Remove your stitch marker. Now this is row 6. It is an even row. So you will work 2 single crochets at the front of that one. I'm going to mark the side of this now, and it's big enough now we can carry the stitches around, so you'll know how they'll go here. So stitch 1, stitch 2, and then you put your increase right in the middle. So 3 and stitch 3 and stitch 4 sit side by side. There is an increase. And stitch 5 and stitch 6. Now if you look at your rounds, like you set it down and you come back to it and you don't really remember what you're doing, just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you know you're on round 6. So 2 singles and increase, and 2 singles. Work this way around, and I will join you for round 7. All right, let's pony up for round 7. This is the second to last row in the bottom of this little bag. You can easily make this bag bigger though if you want, just by adding more rounds in the same way we're adding these. Okay, row 7 is an odd row. So you know we're gonna have 5 single crochets and then an increase. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then that increase. I'll do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then that increases in that last stitch of the 6 grouping. Work that way around, and I'll join you for round 8. All right, those are the last 2 stitches of row 7. Let's move up to row 8. Row 8 is an even row, so we know our increase is going to be in the middle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are going to hang out together as an increase, and end with 6, 7, and 8. Let me do it a different way. Single crochet 3, do an increase, and another 3. Now feel free to re-watch parts of this so you can get that pattern down. All right, I am going to finish it up doing row 8, and I'll join you for the last couple stitches. We're on the last 3 stitches of row 8. So I just did my increase, and then I want to do 2 single crochets, and instead of that 3rd single crochet, we are going to do a slip stitch. So we're just going to pull through and all the way through, so it lays as flat as it can, and it kind of blends into row 7 and before it. Now for this next row, we're going to work up the sides, and we are going to stitch in this back loop only. So we are going to single or chain 1. That gives us the height that we need. Now we're going to work in the next stitch, which is this one right here. You see the slip stitch is worked into this stitch. Yeah, now you can see that. And then I'm working in the one right next to it, single crocheting. There are no more increases until we get to the very, very, very top. So we are just going to back loop only. And we are going to just work in the round for 12 rounds. I know it sounds like a lot, but it's a little bag and we can do this. Now that being said, you can make this whatever size you want. And you can think of some really fun uses for this little drawstring bag. Just drop them in the comments below. And if you found any use from this tutorial, please hit a like and hit that subscribe button. More tutorials, unboxings, and fiber goodness to come. And if you hit the little bell, you'll be notified as well. And we're just going to continue working in this round. As you see, it's going to start flipping up. Round 2 or 3, you'll start that flipping up. So keep working in that back loop. Alrighty, I will join you when we get back to that slip stitch. Alrighty, we're back. There's just a couple stitches left to work. Now this row should number 48 stitches because we started at 6 and we increased by 6 by each row. So there you are. Here's our last 2 single crochets and there is that slip stitch. So we're gonna work the back loop here. Now it is imperative that we keep the 48 stitches or the drawstring row, the open stitched row to put the drawstring won't work right if we get rid of any stitches. So we are gonna work the back loop of that slip stitch. What? Yeah, we worked the back loop of the slip stitch. With doing that, now the next full stitch, that's my chain up. Don't worry about that sucker. Next full stitch is getting a full single crochet. So now we're working in both the top stitches. So you can see those stitches worked all the way around. Now I'm going to keep working both stitches at the top until we get to row 12, which means we have 8 here. We're going to work 12 up the side. So it's row 20. Boom. And look at this. We are almost done with the 12th row of the side. This one here that's marked is our first stitch of our 11th row. So let's single crochet our way up to it. And slip stitch in the last stitch of the row. We are going to loosely, or not too tightly, chain 3. This is going to count as the first double crochet of this row. Then we're going to double crochet back loops only, back loops only. I do have other crochet tutorial videos and I will link them below. They are beginner how-tos. So if you're interested in more stitches or wanting to perfect what we're doing here, that'll work well for you. And I'll also put below the haul video from Hobby Lobby so you can see the yarns that were purchased that day. All right, we're just gonna work our whole way around back stitches only. And when we're done, we'll have 48 stitches in the row and we need to maintain that stitch count. Otherwise the 2 rows from here won't work out. So I'll be back when I've hit the last few stitches. The last stitch of the previous row. This counts as your double crochet. So all we need to do is put one here, the one right before the slip stitch, and that's our last stitch in the row. Then we're going to go to the 3rd here, loop through that, and pull up another slip stitch. So it does look a little open on each side. That's how it should look. Okay, now carefully, gently, chain 3, go into the next stitch, and we're working a whole nother row like that, like the previous, but in both loops. We're going to utilize both those top loops. And I'm going to finish this row and be back at you. The next 2 rows are the most important, so stay tuned for those. As you see, there's a few stitches left. 1, 2, that's our slip stitch. We don't want to mess with that. So here we go. Last 2 stitches. Slip stitch into the top of the 3, 1, 2, 3. Don't know why this is not the easiest thing to do. Use your finger, there you go. One thing after you've crocheted a while, your fingers get a little tougher because you keep jamming the crochet hook into them. And if I didn't say, this is a Boyd's crochet hook. Pretty good ones for beginners to use. So here we go, we're going to chain 4. Why are we going to chain 4? This is the row that is going to have our drawstring run through it. So we're going to do some open work. So we chained 4, so that counts as our stitch 1 and our chain space. Then we're going to go back and do a double crochet without having the yarn split. Don't know why it's splitting, it wasn't before. Then we're going to chain 1, skip, go into the next one. So chain 1, skip, go into the next one. Now if we look at that, this is where we're going to take our string and go in and out and in and out. Now I'll show you how to make a drawstring out of this yarn, and that'll work with any number 2 yarn that you're using, or you can size everything up and go chunkier if you like. Just make sure you're working with a solid structured yarn. I wouldn't work with silk or alpaca or anything like that. That'll stretch out of shape. Now to make this drawstring pouch a little bit more robust, you can put a round piece of cardboard in the bottom to hold your bottom flat. Totally do that. Right now, let's finish working this, and that's a chain 1 and skip 1 and double crochet. And I'll find you when I'm done with the. So I chained 1, skip, we're gonna go in this one, chain 1, and we're gonna go count 1, 2, 3. And I'm glad I did this loose. Sorry about touching the table there. Alrighty, slip stitch all the way through. Okay, now we have our open row worked. Now from here, I'm gonna do a lovely little shell topper. You can do the shell topper, or you can just chain 3 and double crochet into each double crochet and into each space. Basically repeat what we have down here. So your choice. I think the shell top looks really pretty because when you pull it together, it looks like a little flower. So to do that, we are gonna slip stitch to the space, chain 1, and put in a single crochet. Okay, and we're gonna end in that single crochet. So there we go. We're gonna skip all the double crochets. We're only gonna work in the chain spaces. So in this first chain space, we are going to double crochet 4 times. So they're just gonna lean themselves around and make kind of a half round shape. Then we're gonna tether it on the other side with a single crochet. You might need to pull up on them a little bit to get them to get their shape. Let's do that again. Double crochet 4. And single crochet. Now you can work this little bag in different colors. So have fun with that. You can always make this top part different than the bottom of the little bag, or like I said, stop here and turn it into a little basket. Use the same principles and make a bigger basket. I'll show you how I make my big wire baskets. Get more of those onto the Matti Makes website as well. That being said, there's going to be several of these made, since it takes several to do a video like this, and they'll be for sale in the shop, which is linked down below. If the link doesn't work, just copy paste into your browser. Now I'm going to finish this up, and I will join you when we're done with the round, and I'll show you how to finish it off, and we'll make that drawstring. All right, we're back to the end. As you can see, ready to do our last 4 double crochets. Now, if it doesn't end up like this, you added or subtracted a stitch somewhere. So you either make it work for you or rip it out, and I know the evil word, rip it, and fix it. Okay, so there's our 4 double crochets. We're going to slip stitch in the top of that. I always do an extra chain, and we're going to cut this off. Come on, scissors. Okay, and then I'll use a needle, and I'll run it back through these stitches so you don't see it. So run it back through and then probably back the other way. Locks it in. We don't have to worry about that now. Okay, see your bottom. Take your fingers and you pull your bottom out from the sides, because you can see that ridge where it's supposed to be, and then it'll sit. Right now, let's work a drawstring for it. Pull the drawstring from my other bag because it was the perfect length. So let's measure this up. Alrighty. So these are the 12, back up to the top. Looks like almost 18. So cut yourself a piece of ribbon that long. I'll show you how to work the cord. It is a basic chain stitch. So if you made cords before, you're all good. So start with the slip stitch. Now I'm just going to work both of them because I don't want to weave in the end. This is called being lazy. So then both of them didn't want to work in. So if you just cross it back and forth, that works too. So you see I'm working it back and forth. Flip it. And stitch it. Pull it. And that should lock that in just fine. We'll snip the rest away. And we're going to just chain, 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 chain until we get to 18 inches. Alrighty, I'll see you when I get there. Alrighty. 18 inches done. Now you just want to pull through your next loop. Just do another chain. Cut off, make sure it's long enough to actually run through a needle. And then once your needle's try to just run it back and forth across the back, and you'll have your drawstring made. Now let me show you on my little guy here. I like taking it folded in half. You want to put one length on each side of the back loop. This is just so I get it even. And I hold up my finger, hope you can see. And I work weaving style in and out. All along the back. Then when I get about halfway through, I'll do the other side. How do I figure out half? Well, go back to where we started from. That's where we started. Bonk. There's half, right? So this way, that way, and out here. There we are. To the other side. This is probably the only weaving you're going to see on my channel. I'll leave that up to the experts. But I've been crocheting since I was 3, so I'm quite experienced in this. And this is an original pattern. Through, up, perfect. There we go. So pull it tight and just tie it off. And this is a great little bag. See what fun things you can put in it. Maybe a set of dice. It's only can go as far as your imagination. Now, have fun making your own little bags. Please post them in my Facebook group, link below, or tag me up on Instagram. I'll see y'all later. Happy knitting, happy crocheting, but most of all, happy making.